We now move on to our spotlight session. But before that, it's a small announcement that we are going to have a award session at the end. So I request everyone to stay with us till the end so that we see who are the front runners in the electric vehicle ecosystem. So we now move on to the spotlight session where we'll take a closer look at pioneering pilots on electric and medium heavy duty vehicles. With over 20 e-MHDV pilots already deployed, these pilots are now breaking new ground and providing valuable lessons on technology, operations, and business models that can help India's ZET ecosystem to shape up in future. We're joined today by an esteemed set of leaders from across ecosystem who are driving these pilots on ground. Shri Rajiv Mehta, Senior President and CLO, Ultratech Cement. I would request everyone to join us on the stage. Shri Saulabh Parsania, Joint President, Strategic Sourcing, Shri Cement. Shri Siddesh Rai, VP and Head, Transvolt Mobility. Shri Abhisht Gaurav, Senior General Manager, BD and Sales, SG Green Logistics. Shri Ajay Pratap Singh, Co-Founder and CEO, Switch Labs. Shri Akhil J, CEO and Co-Founder, Pulse Energy. We are delighted to have all the industry front runners with them. To guide this session, I now invite our moderator, Mr. Jaideep Saraswat, Associate Director, Clean Power, Electric Mobility and Emerging Technologies, Vasudha Foundation. Mr. Saraswat, the floor is yours.
Hello, hope I am audible. Thank you for having me. Once again, a very warm welcome to everyone. We have a fantastic panel with us today. Before we deep dive into the session, I do want to highlight a few housekeeping rules. We have allocated certain amount of time at the end of the session for questions from the audience. So if there is anything that you want to ask our panelists, feel free to jot them down, and I promise we'll try to address them at the end. This session is also being recorded, so if there is anything that you want to revisit later on, feel free to do that. You can also share this session link with other folks who are not able to make it to this session today. And finally, for our panelists, I'll request you to be as succinct and brief as possible. We want to cull out maximum information from you, so remember, brevity is your friend here. Without further ado, we'll start the session, and I'll not bore all of you with details on why it is important for us to look at decarbonizing the freight sector, or why it is important for us to focus on medium and heavy duty vehicles. I'm sure that has been discussed throughout the day. I do want to talk about pilots and how they can be a very effective strategy to fast track the transition to zero emission vehicles. Pilots are very important from the perspective of proving value of these vehicles in real life scenarios, demonstrating how they benefit people's lives, especially the ones who are driving them, showcasing their environmental benefit, and last but not the least, emboldening the ecosystem while these pilots are being implemented. With that in mind, we'll start the session, and the objective of the session is to gather maximum learnings, insights from each of our panelists who have their individual pilots running, and also to answer one very critical question: what next? The way we have structured this session, I'll request, since it's not a pure play panel discussion, it's a spotlight session, I'll request each of our panelists to proceed to the podium and talk about their individual pilots, what worked, what didn't, key takeaways. And once that round is over, we'll start with the panel discussion. So I'll start with Mr. Saurabh, please.
So, happy evening, all of you, and happy to be here, and thanks to WRI and Niti Aayog for inviting us to talk about our pilots. See, we did a pilot somewhere in 2018, 19 on the in Rajasthan from our integrated plant at Ras to one of our grinding units at Jobner, and we purchased 4 trucks from one of the OEMs. And the major challenge on that route initially was to say run the truck from one charging point to another charging point. Why? Because of the uneven roads, and maybe for 10 kilometers we were the battery utilization was around 70%, and for rest of the say 100 kilometers it was around another 60% only. So likewise we learned from it, and then the charging stations were definitely reallocated, and that was the biggest challenge. But second challenge was the technology at that time, where it was required to move to the truck to set right certain errors. Earlier on, now it is being done remotely also, but in those days it was the OEM who has to handhold us and go to that point and correct the errors, and then again the truck used to move. But then it was a good learning period, and ultimately as an owner of the truck, if I forget about the interest cost of the truck, the operating efficiency was up to 25% to 30% levels better than the diesel trucks. So we were saving, you can say, 25% of the cost of transportation on that route after a period of time. Similarly, one of the trials we did in our mines recently with one of the tippers with a carrying load of 70 tons. And we envisaged that it will give us 3 years payback, but somehow after operating for almost 3 months, we could understand that the payback will be 1.5 years only. So that was another, so you can say, opportunity to green the mining operations. Thank you.
Thank you. And this 1.5 years of payback period, I'm sure, will catch a lot of light. Mr. Mehta, if we can.
Yeah, very, very good afternoon. And I'd like to share few experiences which we had with EV trucks and learnings as well. We started on a route of Dhar to Dhule, the distance of approx 200 kilometers. And when we purchased the vehicle, the initial base was that ICE trucks were doing 16 trips a month. So 16 trips on empty return basis, the typical kilometers traveled was 6,400. We forgot about the history and we said that we will go on a zero base. That 2 hours for loading, 200 kilometer, 5-hour travel time, then charging time, and all included. Our calculation was that we should do 1 trip per day, 400 kilometers. So initial reaction that everybody laughed at us that from 15, 16 trips you are targeting 30. Now we are doing 35. So 14,000 kilometer is a norm which we are setting for ourselves, and I think it is being done quite regularly. The second experiment we have started in Chhattisgarh, a place called Kukurdi to Baikunt, that is 60 kilometer. Even in that lead also viability has been established. The third experiment will be all set to start is Kotputli to Dadri, Kotputli to Ropar, and even we are discussing can we take up to Rajpura, Chandigarh. So all discussions are on, but one thing I can definitely share with all of you, the key will be efficiency. 2 drivers mandatory for EVs, otherwise we cannot make it financially justifiable. 24/7 operations mandatory. And right now we are talking only about high capacity vehicles But to me, the future is LCVs. I am 100% convinced that some state governments, some intervention of central government, what will be required will be declare few, as a pilot project, declare 5 Indian cities on e-fast basis or Z cities, that in one city we can introduce 500 vehicles. Even as a cement guy, like Mumbai, we are almost selling not less than 15,000 tons per day. If I take average 15 tons or 20 tons also, 1,000 vehicles for Mumbai per day. So even if we take 20% share or 25% share also, it is a big chunk. Similarly, Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore, I think 4 or 5 cities, the state governments also should come forward. What type of entry restriction they can ease out for EVs, what type of toll waiver proposals they can, and we are not asking for indefinite this thing. This should be for a limited period, 3 years, 5 years, whatever is agreed upon, which is the typical struggle period. You know, as toddlers, we need support of our parents to stand and walk when we are 8 months or 9 months or 12 months. But once we are 2 or 3 year old, we don't need support of our parents to walk or to run. That is exactly what we are looking from the government, that first 3 years we need support. After that, we don't require any support. We will manage on our own. So that is request. Economic viability assured. The only thing is efficiency, and to give an indicative thing, the freights in EV can be lower by 10 to 15% than ICE trucks. That possibility also does exist. So I see a very, very bright future for EVs. No doubt about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. I think you raised 2 very important points. One was on the sunset clause of whatever incentives that we provide. At the same time, there's this approach of taking up cities, which has been taken up in multiple other geographies as well, and how we can deploy a maximum number of vehicles there. I'll request Mr. Singh from Switch Labs if he can.
A very good afternoon, everybody. So, we Switch Labs are EV native EV truck operating player, and we are already deployed. And between this Navratri to Deepavali, we are deploying another 30 trucks for 2 companies. And so, from EV truck perspective, like already Rajiv sir said about efficiency. So, just in our first deployment, we earlier on that route, diesel truck used to run around 60 to 70,000 kilometers. We run in 1 year 1,15,000 kilometers. So that kind of efficiency we are bringing. Obviously, the costing part, and we set the template like longer term contract period. Unlike in traditional diesel truck, we are going for 1 year or 2 year kind of contract. We are here demanding with all our clients for a longer term, 8 years, 10 years contract period. And in fact, we have got a 10 years contract as well. But most of the cement company with whom we are talking to, including Rajiv's Ultratech as well, they are settling for 8 years contract. Our focus is very sharp, clear. We are only targeting hard to abate segment industries, cement, metal, port, and chemical. We are not, as of now, we are not targeting any FMCG or some those kind of industry, because we see that there is they will be the early mover. They have inherently, they are themselves trying to enter into this EV logistic space. Means like they have a, like they will be the first mover. And as of now, we are targeting around 150 by this March, 31st March 2026, this financial year, to be deployed and running EV trucks. So yeah, that's all in brief about us. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Singh. And long-term contracts, yes, will definitely infuse a lot of confidence. Mr. Gaurav, if we can have your remarks.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. So myself Abhist, representing ST Green Logistics. So first of all, it sounds very good and gives us an immense pleasure when the entire discussion for the whole day inside the room is about the electric heavy duty trucks, since we being into the operations of these heavy duty trucks only, and those two specifically electric ones. So let me share our experiences when we started these operations. So a lot of the points were already covered by other members. So one challenge what we had, that was the get in and get out time in the plants for the loading and unloading of the material. So we submitted a rationale with our clients, with our customers, told them about the maximum utilization of the vehicle, e-vehicles is required to have the financial viability. Lot of discussions were happened with the clients. They also understood. We got agreed on the green channel part, that specifically for the e-trucks, green channel mode would be provided. So this was one challenge which our clients also understood and had the provision of the green channel for faster get in and get out of e-trucks. So that's it from me.
Thank you. Mr. Rai?
Good evening, everyone. I represent Transworld Mobility. We are a new age e-mobility platform where we typically own, operate, and maintain the commercial vehicles. As we speak today, we have close to 500 plus aggregated contracts of EV buses and trucks, and out of which probably 350 plus vehicles have been deployed as we speak today. Now coming to the pilots or the what you say is trials which we do, Transworld has immensely put a lot of effort, and we have done an exhaustive trials in various applications in the last 1.5 years. To be precise, we have done 15 plus trials in different applications, namely in the cement, steel, port, mines, textile, and also in the chemical sectors. Even in the cement sectors, we have done trials inbound, outbound, internal movement. When I say inbound, it's limestone movement or a coal movement. Outbound, basically cement bags. Internal movement like clinker movement. In the mining operations, we have done trials in the production and the rehandling. Also, we have done the washery or from the mines to the direct plant kind of operations. In the port applications, we have done trials from vessel to yard, from yard to CFS, from dry port to the wet ports. So during these trials, we have got immense learnings where we have been able to understand that this deployment of ZET is very, very complex in nature as compared to buses, because we also operate buses. Most of our portfolio largely comprises of buses as we speak today, out of which trucks we have 75 trucks, and out of that 71 trucks we have deployed. Now, why it is critical is because in truck there are many parameters, like what is the tonnage which you carry, because you have been paid on a per ton or probably on a per kg or on a per hour or on a per trip. Now this is derived out of a lot of parameters. What is the tonnage you're moving? What is the transit time? What is the gradient of those routes where you're applying those vehicles? Again, you have to also understand which OEM you're choosing, because unlike your buses, in buses you have a 9-meter bus or 12-meter bus with this, the seating capacity almost standard. But in trucks, the number of OEMs which today you have, everyone comes with a different battery packs, with a different range, with different curve weight, because that decides the tonnage which you carry. So it's very critical to identify which OEM you partner with, second, which is the specific route, which is the application, and then derive to the unit economics. So Transworld today, we feel very proud that we have a better understanding about how these trucks are operating, and we are an OEM agnostic platform, and we have conducted trials with almost most of the OEMs which are available today. So this is a short brief about what we have been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. And it's a good problem to have. More OEMs As per our study, close to 9 major OEMs are there, close to 16 models that are commercially available for people to take up. So I think that's a good problem. I'm sure more OEMs, more models will definitely come up. Last, Akhil, if we can have your.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for kind of having me in this panel as well. So my name is Akhil. I'll just give you a quick introduction of what Pulse Energy does as well. So typically when charge point operators want to set up chargers anywhere, there's power infra, there's hardware infra, and a software infra. These are three pillars that they lean on to kind of get that infrastructure set up. We provide the software infra, pan-India. We are the largest software infra provider in India. One example of this is any Uber Green cab that you pick up today across India, they will be using our software infrastructure to start and stop charges. You have an MG motor vehicle, they'll also be using, those users will be using our platform to start and stop charges. So one thing that we have, and just to share the insights that we have learned from our pilots here, two things. One, how much ever you try to digitize this entire flow, it ultimately falls on that one single human who's driving the truck. It's about figuring out what's the messaging to that driver. It's about figuring out okay, this is the station that you need to go, this is the gun that you need to pick up, here's how you need to charge. So we mastered that in working with Uber cab drivers. The best medium to do this is WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, just tell them this is where you need to go. Here's the gun. If they pick the wrong gun, you tell them no, don't do it. So that user experience matters most. We can do all the math and the logic here, but ultimately it's that the responsibility falls on the driver because they are the ones controlling your vehicle and they are the ones who's managing where to charge. So that is one very big insight that we got. The second one is unifying all of these digital infrastructures that is out there, like chargers, buses, the truck telematics. What's the load that's on the truck such that you know what the degradation of SOC is and which station is going to get to. We had to do all of that math. And the problem is you're going to have it in very different, distinct closed loop systems. How do you make it open in an open loop network? And there's enough effort that's going on in India. I don't think it's happening anywhere else in the world. Even the ministry has now come on board with it. They're calling it the India Energy Stack. They've started building an open, think UPI network for energy, right? So today you discover or you transact with each other through UPI. Similarly, any truck operator or OEM can access the charging infrastructure, offer the battery capacities that is there in that truck, even as a demand response or demand flexibility over to a DISCOM if necessary. So there's a lot of intelligence systems that's coming together, but the need is there. The market's already there as well. So that's the two insights that I have, the user experience and then adopting open loop standards. Simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you, Akhil. And I think what you said that, it's only in India that a lot of people are focusing on this aspect. I've seen a lot of FMS operators or developers are now integrating the EV related aspects into their platform so that it becomes easier for people to easily navigate to the nearest charging station. And now I start the panel discussion and I'll start with Mr. Mehta. I know you talked about these ZETs that you have piloted already. What I want to know from you is how do you see ZETs fitting in your broader sustainability picture, net zero vision? You have a industry level vision of 2050 net zero target. How do you see that panning out with ZETs coming into picture?
Yeah. Say, if we look cement as a business, last mile connectivity will always be by road. So without ZET, the goal of sustainability is not possible. And to start with, as we mature, the first phase will be for point-to-point movement, that will be clinker. That I expect a big future for entire clinker movement going on electric trucks, which is high capacity. The second will be on the price part of it, that in most of the cities there are entry restrictions, so we need small vehicles in EVs. So if economic viability is there, then I see a great future of EVs in the cement movement as well. At present pricing, I think the economic viability of EVs is not there as far as small vehicles are concerned. But clinker, yes, for sure, I can foresee that there will be, as far as road movement is concerned, 50 to 60% clinker will be moving by EVs within 300-kilometer radius in next 3 to 4 years. That I can clearly see that that possibility does exist. It is green, sustainable, and economical. See, I tell you, whatever I may talk about sustainability, but if it is completely economically unviable, it won't work. It will be good to talk, but it won't be good to sustain. So economic viability and sustainability will go hand in hand, and they will go together. And in this moment, I can assure it will happen.
And has to be, I think, in a lot of other technologies that has been proven that, once they are economically viable, we have deployed significant amount of that technology. Mr. Palsania, you come from the same community. Care to weigh in on the same question?
I think first of all, what Rajiv said, I totally agree with that, we'll be first moving from point-to-point transportation. And clinker is the only commodity which generally moves point-to-point in cement sector. So what we are thinking is to make, we are working route by route. First we are setting up infrastructure like charging stations in one route, and then then ordering trucks and getting the deliveries. And we wish to, green for one route and then work on another route parallelly for the infrastructure. And route by route will be growing, and hopefully with all the support which definitely we expect from the government also, we'll be able to at least green all the routes in Rajasthan in next 2 years.
That's a major announcement. Thank you.
Parallelly, but I'd like to say that, for the audience here, that in HEMM also, using electric HEMM equipment is also very, very, in terms of savings part, I can say that you will be incurring very less expenditure, because you will be replacing diesel by, electric charging. And especially in those equipments which like dozer or dumpers, dozers and excavators, where the per hour consumption is approximately 20 to 22 liters or 30 liters. So there is a good scope of introducing EVs there also. So we have almost ordered 12 such tippers across in Rajasthan as well as in eastern plants, and shortly they will be operating, maybe maximum, few are already operating and few will be operating by the year end.
Correct. And correct me if I'm wrong. Even the tippers that have been deployed with the cement industries or say coal mines, the usage terminology is usually from the number of hours of operation rather than the range that is provided,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I think that is a very critical aspect. Let's steer the conversation towards the logistics service providers, and we have multiple of them on our panel, and they have pure play electric truck based logistics that they are providing. I want to start with Ajay. Can you provide more information on how it is being perceived by the consumers? Is there any demand from the consumer side to look at environmentally sustainable support that they can get from the logistics space?
So, hi. So our first truck is running with a cement player, JK Lakshmi Cement, and it took really long to convince all cement players that to go for a longer tenure contract, but because that is not the practice. So yeah, but fortunately enough, every cement, metal, even port also are looking forward for 7 years kind of contract. So that is, and a chemical company has given us a contract. UPL has given a contract of 10 years. So we are in discussion for the second phase of contract with them. So that kind of contractual things is already there, and that ease away the pressure from our prospective financiers, debt providers. So debt is still a challenge in this industry, because it's not very easy to get a cheaper debt, up to 10%, because as of now financing is happening at mostly from the NBFCs. So transport is there, and they will share their own story. But I know like everybody is like putting for that, and if this EV comes into PSL kind of segment, priority sector lending segment, then the scheduled banks will come forward and they will start lending at a lesser than 10% in single digit. So that will ease out more of pressure, and we'll be able to provide a, like, no, so our target is like wherever we are doing this, providing this point to point EV logistic, our target is to at least at par either with the diesel or lesser than diesel rates. So this is our internal target. We are not touching even the routes where our rate will be higher, means our own calculated rate will be higher than existing rates. So this is our on, and if we are running these trucks efficiently with certain intervention like bringing cheaper electricity in open access and all, we can certainly say that it will be a like at least for the inbound and outbound both operations, not outbound but like intermediate operation like clinker movement as Rajiv sir said, or even in inbound operation like limestone and these kind of materials, even in metal industries as well, like coal and some part from the port to like factory kind of operations. It makes huge sense if you are running it efficiently to shift towards EV for client as well, because they will get a greener transport logistic at a little reduced rate, and we will, the only thing that they have to go for is a longer term contract. So when I say long term contract, from the shipper perspective also, they have like with one of the cement company, my experience is like they took a little long time to determine long term availability of the material on that route, because 8 years are really long term, and they were saying that 5 years down the line we don't know. In that market, they are putting this PPC cement, which is using this fly ash kind of material. So and some slag or those kind of things, but they are not sure that how much time the market will whether flourish in next 5 years for that particular kind of cement or not. So that kind of challenges from the shipper's perspective we can understand, and but overall I can see that cement industry has been early mover in adopting heavy duty EV trucks, medium and heavy duty EV trucks, followed by metal industry, and port are also coming. Like we are in talks with at least three ports, two in western side of India, one in eastern side of India. So we are in very active discussion with them, and the next wave will means like from the port. So yeah, these are all our experiences. The only thing is before deploying it, as transport has also said that we have to do a consultative selling. It's not as easy like just we get the contract and we deploy it. Before getting that contract, we have to do our own homework, and very minute homework, that how much kilometer I have to, how I have to manage this operation. So it's like in solar we used to say that as built, as design, as built. Similarly, we have to design this whole operation as a project, that whatever assumptions we have took before signing that contract, it should happen for 8 longer years. So in nutshell, you have to do the calculation of the electricity prices. You have to do calculation that what kind of topography and what kind of roads are there, because on each route every EV truck will give you a different mileage. There are n numbers of OEM as of now. Earlier it was just a Murgappa group. Now there are like legacy OEM have also entered into this. So you have to, in fact, at some of the routes, you have to decide from the OEM perspective as well, that which OEM you have to choose, because there are certain advantage. Again, the battery size is different. Like someone has a 282, one player has a 242 kilowatt hour battery, and some has a 302 kilowatt hour battery. So there are n numbers of permutation combination you have to take into consideration before signing that contract. So it's not and that's why traditional logistics, this is one of the key challenges why traditional logistics is not entering into this scene. They are master in doing this logistic thing, but these kind of things are like very hard for them. They have to unlearn something and then learn. And the blessing with all like new age LSPs like us who are only into EV, that we don't have to unlearn something. We are learning from day zero. That's all.
No, that's a very important point, and I think that is why we are seeing not many small to medium fleet operators also taking it up, not just from the cost side, but they also find it difficult from the capacity building space. And Mr. Gaurav, I do want you to respond to the same question, but there is also one important question around skills that I do want to ask. And let me paint a picture for you. So if there is one of your trucks goes to a charging bay, connects to a particular charging station, and starts charging, say suppose it is a 240 kilowatt charger. And after a certain point of time, you'll realize that the charging is only happening because say at 120 kilowatts. Then, there are multiple things that come to the fleet supervisor's mind, that whether the driver has done the right approach or not, or whether he's telling me the truth or not, whether the system is connected to a 240 kilowatt or a 120 kilowatt charger. Because the idea is that it's important to build the organizational capacity as well to understand that there is a phenomenon of power sharing that might be happening at the charger. There's another charger that got connected to the same station, and as there is another truck that got connected to the same station, and as a result, the power is split between the two. So I think what is required is how we develop the capacities of the organizational staff who is at this point of time not looking at, is only looking at diesel, and what is the price of that diesel, but now has to transition towards kilowatt hour and the price associated with that, the time of day pricing, all of those aspects. Please.
Okay, so what I could understand from you, so you're talking about the smooth transition or the electrification of the existing fleet if a company wants to do. So there are certain factors. So a company, what they need to begin with. So first of all, they shall have to pick a very comprehensive kind of electrification plan, that how that is going to happen. So the very first step towards this direction might be the formation of a dedicated team with the members from the cross-functional operations to decide that how that is to be implemented. Very clear goals are also required to be set at what actually is to be achieved within a given period of time, like how much cost reduction we are targeting for, how much CO2 emission reduction we are targeting for. So these kind of very clear goals and targets has to be set up in the very beginning. Apart from that, when this comes to driving partner part, a very comprehensive kind of training has to be given to the drivers. Drivers are to be educated about the technicalities of the electric vehicles, electric trucks. Drivers are to be trained, are to be educated for the for driving of the vehicles in the most efficient manner. Drivers are to be educated about the technologies and telematics installed in the vehicle so that he can obtain the maximum efficiency from the vehicles. So this is the driving partner part. Apart from this, I would also say, so there has to be a team to take care of the maintenance part of the vehicles, of these vehicles. So these fleet managers or these team members should have very in-depth knowledge as far as maintenance part is concerned, so that any such operational issues can be taken care of in a very efficient manner. So over the one more thing which a fleet manager needs to perform. So to analyze the data over a given period of time using the telematics installed in the vehicle, that how their fleet is performing. So based on all this, I believe that the whole system can be implemented in a very efficient manner and the fleet size can be increased gradually.
Great. Mr. Rai, I want to come to you now. I know you touch base upon some of the applications that you are already taking care of. But do you think there are other application areas where we require to do pilots, and if maybe other players in the ecosystem can chime in, I think that will be a good thing. But what are the key areas that you think we should definitely focus on?
So as I mentioned earlier, currently we are operating in the cement industry where we are doing a clinker movement for Ultratech. Parallelly, we are also doing a limestone movement from the quarry to the crusher. Two segment where we see that there is a huge demand, and there could be a good acceleration in the ZET, that is the ports and the mining industry. Even Saurabh Palsania ji touched upon the mining sectors. We are not restricting ourselves to the dumpers. We are also talking about the other earth moving equipments, the excavators, the loaders. You have electric options available there, and the TCO is really very astonishing because the diesel equipment consume close to 20 to 25 liters per hour, and these equipments are operated close to 10-12 hours. The dumpers are operated close to 18, 20, 22 hours depending upon application to application. There probably the payback is close to 2-3 years, so it makes sense. So we see a huge demand in the mining side. We see a huge demand in the port side. Port especially from the dry port to the wet port, because you have a captive movement from point A to B, and you probably can get both side loads. So you're able to sweat the asset to its maximum. So we feel there's a huge demand in this sector.
Thank you. And I think the last question to Akhil, and before we wrap up, we'll also take a few questions from the audience. Akhil, at this point of time, if you look at India's logistics cost to GDP is hovering anywhere around 13 to 14%. Global average is around 8 to 10%. How do you think, and if we look at the entire trucking ecosystem, we have close to 75% of fleet operators who are actually small fleet operators. They are far away from the digitalization that is happening in the sector. How do you think we bring that entire ecosystem on the digitalization platform and help them out with the nuances of getting trained as well as getting reaping benefits out of the entire digitalization infrastructure?
So this is where I think the one-word answer to your question is aggregators, right? I think that's a role that we play. So as Gaurav was saying, you have to set up a team to do all of this. The small trucking operators would not be able to do it. So our expertise is just in delivering that experience. So today, if you're a truck driver, you're at a station charging, and let's say something goes wrong, you don't know what's going on, they can just call us up, like through WhatsApp, so they can just dial in instantly. There is a skilled person on the other end helping that driver out, figuring out, is this the right charger that they need to charge at? That expertise and that level of expertise will get distilled down. There will be a rise of those aggregators once this becomes mainstream. That's the only way it's going to work out. Like that's how, like the UPI apps, even when they started doing merchant acquisition, they used to go door to door to every seller and say, "Aap mera QR code chipka do." Right? And that's the revolution that will happen. They'll go find those people. The only thing that we need to do in this room is enable and endorse open loop platforms or open loop digital solutions that allow interoperability to happen, right? Like, so the solutions like India Energy Stack, I keep coming back to it, but it's important for us as a country to start endorsing open loop systems so that it leads to the democratization of what we need to unlock. So that's my 2 cents into this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think we'll come to the questions. That there are 2 things that I'll end with. One, there was one survey that was done for zero emission truck driving partners. And what we realized was that 100% of them said that their interaction with law enforcement agencies has reduced significantly. So I think that is one very key thing that has to come out in the open domain. The other aspect which we were not able to discuss, I'm sure that is something that other people will be very interested in knowing about, is that at the existing public charging stations that are there and the kind of infrastructure that is there, is that suitable enough for the 2030 target that we have in mind? Or do we have to look at other areas of battery swapping or megawatt charging systems where the stoppage time is more or less very similar to the hours of service regulation? And will that be the right approach for us going forward? With that, I'll stop. Thank you for being here. We'll take a few questions from the audience.
One question I wish to ask, and before I ask my question, I wish to compliment each one of you for doing wonderful spotlight session. To me, this is the best session, and I wish next year we will have more sessions like this. My question might sound little probing into your work, but it is not intended to do that. It is intended to do what we could not do on Chennai and Trichy. There are 4 components which I'm going to say, outline. These 4 components, how you handled into your pilot is what in 1 line or 2 words you can say. Number 1 is vehicle comes with a certain type of guarantee, warranty, services. Few of them, they are factory warranties and few of them, they are roadside warranties. How do you manage to deliver or do you manage to access it for your vehicle? Second, battery has on-road issues. At some time, some storage, some type of handling also with the vehicle, with the battery. So what type of SOP you have managed and whether you developed it in collaboration with a same agency, what we try to do with COEZ, IT Madras, or it is you are doing at your own. Third is fire is a big issue. One case of truck on fire can upset a lot of contracts which are under deployment. So how did you manage water browser or what safety mechanism you took? And the last is there any control room you managed to set up for having the data that you are receiving from truck and triggering all these services which you will be able to deliver? These all 4 questions we could not answer because we entered into pilot very late. We only had 45 days to do pilot and we did not have players who deliver all this. We only had OEMs and all. So if anybody will be able to answer it. Thank you.
There's one more question. We'll take the questions first and then we can...
No, my name is Karni Singh. I just wanted to know that how is it that cement is so adequately or even overrepresented and steel and mining is not even represented? So what's the issue? The second question is, going forward, how do you see the challenges of LNG trucking or hydrogen, etc., which is a little far away, but why should electric guys not have minor apprehensions about whether they could be driven out of, there could be better technologies or more optimal technologies?
One more question, please.
This end of life of EV vehicles. Normally the vehicles, the diesel, they are the 10 years, the petrol 15 years. What is the end of life of the EV trucks? That is important. Resale of EV trucks, freight trucks. Is there any buyback arrangement by the company? Now the present, the traditional trucks are there. Is there any policy by the government or by the company which they can say, okay, you bring the old diesel truck, we will give you some the value and take the new EV trucks with some concession, some taxation. And yes, the leakage of battery leakage. Is there any safety barriers or what is the precaution? Thank you.
How about we start with Abhijit ji's questions and on about warranty. Ajay, you can take the warranty question.
So warranty part, we are overly relying on OEM only, and obviously, like from the 1 year earlier to now, we have a more stringent warranty clauses in place with respect to OEM, and on the control room, obviously, like Transvolt, I know we already in process of setting that control room. On the third party, we are developing our own, telematics and ecosystem. That is already in, version 1.0, we are expecting to come in next couple of months. So, to answer your question, yes, these things are already in place. And I think as per my knowledge, most of the logistic players who are EV only logistic players are developing on their own. Because there are so many things, we are already doing a lot of things on the route to route and from the OEM to OEM. So that's why it's best suited for us to develop our own system rather than an existing all this intelligence system. We did try to collaborate with some of the players, but we didn't find much of value there, unfortunately. But
sorry, there is paucity of time. There's only one question that we'll answer on the on-ground issues, if there's any.
Sorry?
On-ground issues.
See, so we have built a complete 360 IT tech platform where we control and we monitor every bit and piece of our vehicle. We have integrated with the different OEMs, and what we are trying to do is we are monitoring even at the battery level if there is any thermal inflation in terms of the battery. There are some trigger points, and we immediately that alarm has been set, and the supervisor or the driver has been intimated about it, and so that it is taken care of. Apart from that, in the fire side, it was rightly pointed out. Unfortunately, no one is talking about this. Everyone are talking about finance, but insurance is a very critical role here. Unfortunately, we had discussions around insurance that the premiums are high, but I'll go one step ahead. There are certain risks which the insurance companies are not covering. For instance, an electric vehicle, typically when the electric vehicle is getting charged, there is a possibility there could be a fire incident when the vehicle is getting charged. But unfortunately, none of the insurance companies are underwriting those risks. Second, when the vehicle is probably during the transit, there could be thermal surge. Probably there could be a fire kind of an incident. Unfortunately, the insurance companies are not underwriting that risk. But thanks to us, probably I'm taking the credit because for the last 1 year, we fought with New India Insurance and we have been able to crack this, and we got an electric surge add-on for commercial vehicles especially. So today we have that cover. But unfortunately, only one insurance company is giving it. We'll have to have more sessions or think tanks, or probably bring in IRDA and have some regulatory policies in and around for the insurance to cover the fire risk.
Thank you. A big thank you to all the panelists, and thank you to the audience for being so wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. A huge round of applause. I think these are true testaments which will be crucial to build the initial momentum in the industry and also bring everyone together and build the stakeholder confidence. I request Mr. Saraswat to please present the panelists with this token of appreciation.